Okay, so we're going to be doing the predictions for part two of the playoffs of the Munich Major. So this is the start of the main stage event, which starts in around just under 7 hours from now. I believe it's at like 5 a.m. East. Um, so pretty early for me here. Um, but yeah, quickly, I'm going to want to talk about the predictions for yesterday's matches. Um, which was FaZe Wildcard, which we got right. And I really thought M80 would just beat whoever came out of this, but FaZe um, really showed some good resilience in this match because M80 should have absolutely closed out map one, which was FaZe's pick. They had a massive lead in it and just could not close out on match point many times. And then they ended up losing map two. So kind of a rough one for M80. Not a completely horrible performance because they didn't get like blown out, but definitely like a game they should have won. And then Secret for G2. When I made my prediction for this, I said my head says Secret because the last two times Secret have played G2 in a multi-map series recently, Secret have won both. Um, but my heart says I wanted to go with G2, and I went with my head, and my head was wrong. G2 ended up winning, and then I did make the correct pick here, where I did think Falcons would beat either team. In my opinion, whatever came through this side of the bracket. It was close. G2. Well, honestly, it wasn't looking good, and then G2 brought back map one to win it, but then Falcons won the next two a little more convincingly. So it was a very close to G2 actually being the team in the upper bracket final instead of Falcons, but it was not. And yeah, Falcons just seemed to be good and really good form because I was a little concerned that Falcons, wouldn't look as sharp, not coming into this match, coming into their match against G2, not having played for multiple days in a official match. Whereas G2 had literally just played a couple hours before and got a really big win against Team Secret, who have kind of been like the team that have been haunting them for the past few months ever since the EWC lost. So even though G2 lost, I think they overcame some demons in that game because if they were to see Secret again in this tournament, they would both need to make the lower bracket semis. So yeah, let's talk about the lower bracket now because those are the games being played in just around 7 hours from now. So first we have wildcard and NIP, and this one is kind of an interesting one to look at because I think that it's not as easy to predict as some people may think because NIP came into the event, looked bad, and then got to the BO3s, and then looked pretty good in those BO3s, especially against NA teams because they eliminated Shopify Rebellion and they eliminated SSG to make their push into the playoffs. Wildcard, on the other hand, also beat Brazilian teams such as W7M to qualify to the playoffs as well, and they made it to the upper bracket, where of course they did lose to FaZe. They took a map off FaZe, but they did lose. But I don't think I think Wildcard are the underdog here, but I don't think it's like a huge stretch to be honest. And you could even consider NIP the underdog, and I'm curious to see because and I think NIP also kind of like G2 beating Secret, they kind of potentially maybe overcame some demons by getting that win over BDS. Not because they beat BDS, but because they were on the verge of winning and then they were up 6-3. They let the game slip to overtime and then they were down 7-6. And it was looking like another, classic NIP choke when they're so close to that top eight. Um, but they managed to pull it together and beat BDS in those last two rounds to qualify for the playoffs, which I think could be pretty big for the mental of this team. Um, and I want to go over just to see both teams. I want to see their preferences at this tournament in terms of maps. So we'll just put in November and then 25 and then same thing here. And that should just only include their major games, so their most recent performances. Okay, so looking at NIP, they don't want to play. They're either hiding these maps or they hate them. And usually these days, yes, teams hide maps at times, but it's not like it happens sometimes. Not every team does it. Most teams just play the maps they're good at and ban the maps they're not comfortable on. But that is definitely not to say it doesn't happen. So like they could be hiding maps, but let's just look at it at how the stats say. So NIP 100% ban rate on Chalet Niagara Labs. Haven't played those maps this tournament. Not really liking Sky a lot either. The border banned a bit, bank banned a bit. You can see here they're really liking Cafe and Club. They go through the and Lair. They seem to never ban those maps. And let's just look at their recent matches too, because they'll probably highlight that. Yeah, okay. They play Club. They play Lair. Club Lair. Oh yeah, Console's not here too. They also play Console. Yeah, they don't ban Console either. But and they won that. Club. Okay, there's a border here, so yeah, they do let. But then Lair again. And then Club. Okay, yeah. Here's that one Sky play, which they did lose in overtime, and then Lair again. So yeah, very. Seems to be a bit of a smaller map pool. Like they have 4 maps they seem like really comfortable on, being Club Lair, Cons, and then what was it? Cafe. Club Lair, Cons, Cafe. And now let's go to Wildcard. Let's see. Okay, they don't play Lair at all, so we're probably not going to see that. Now, yeah, I don't think either of these teams. Okay, the NIP are more likely to take Bank than Wildcard. Actually, NIP are definitely not bad at Bank because I think they beat Bank G2 on Bank at EWC. So, but Wildcard might not let it through. I think Wildcard are okay with playing Cafe. They're definitely okay with playing Club. Now Wildcard love Labs, whereas NIP hate that shit. So I don't think we'll see that. They actually we might see one of them. This is interesting here actually. If you notice this, most banned maps for NIP are Chalet and Labs, and Wildcard haven't banned those maps at all this tournament. So definitely looking like some high preference maps for them this event. Yeah, they beat W7 on Labs, and then they did lose to Phage on Chalet, but they have been letting it through their ban phases, so they seem comfortable picks for wildcard. I don't think Labs will be let through, and I don't think Lair will be let through. So we're probably gonna see. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a clubhouse or a consulate, and then I think because wildcard play both of NIP's seemingly permanent bans, NIP might not take them both out, so you could see one of these maps, but maybe not. So we'll see. And then I definitely could see a cafe being a possibility between these two teams as well. So I think I'm gonna go with wildcard here. I think they have a bit of a better map pool than NIP. And I don't think they're quite the underdogs that people make them out to be. And even though I know NIP have been like the NA Slayers. All right. So next, I kind of already had this one prepped to go. Oh, yeah, I already had Secret. And then I put the Furia and I just didn't search it. Okay, but anyways, Furia. Of course, if you've been watching so far, everybody knows that bad in the BO1s, and then they, ran through the BO3s to qualify to the playoffs, kind of just like NIP. And then Furia have also really been liking maps like Lair, Bank, and Cafe recently. Um, they've only banned Lair one time, and it was probably against Shopify, I would assume. Yeah, because Shopify are probably the one of few teams here that most people would say are like probably better than Furia at Lair. But Shopify aren't in the playoffs, and Furia are, so they don't have to worry about that. So Lair could be a big possibility because I know both these teams love Lair. I'm pretty sure Secret, yeah, they've only banned it one time. Um, I think both these teams also like Cafe. Yep, only banned one time. Um, and both these teams I would consider the two best border teams in the world, and I'd be extremely disappointed for both of them if both of them did not take a border here. Like please, I need to see a border between these two teams. We need to see who's the best border team in the world. Um, and I'm gonna go lean towards Furia being a best border team because they have a ridiculous win streak on border. Though Secret are certainly no slouches either on that map. So just based off of like predictability, like neither these we're not gonna the labs actually that'd be interesting. Both these teams don't play labs, so I'm curious if one of these teams may prepare a labs um, in the case that the other team is not prepared to play it because they just assume they're going to ban it. And same with Consulate here, too. Both these teams have a high ban rate for Consulate as well. So that could be something interesting as well. If one of them, to see if one of these teams will pick one of those maps to play. Because I don't think Secret are that great on labs. They did beat G2 on labs at EWC, but like it was kind of a comeback, and G2 just looked kind of chalked. I don't think Fira are as easy to get to that mental state. I think actually Secret are more likely to chalk than Furia because it was looking rough for them during that G2 match. Even though they won that bank game, they got smoked on the maps 2 and 3. Like the players looked kind of lost. They weren't really listening to Twister, their coach. Um, and yeah, it was looking kind of rough. And then Furia, I think they are gonna look to make a statement by attempting to knock out Secret here, the EWC champs, in the first round of playoffs here. So for that reason, I think I'm gonna take Furia to win this game. Definitely a 3-mapper. There's no way I see this being a 2-mapper. So yeah, I'm gonna close those, and then I think I can just go back. Yeah, cool. All right, next G2 wildcard. G2, and then we already got wildcard in here. All right, cool. All right, so I think most people know. For G2, they don't like club at all. They hate it. Same with border. They're a little more willing to play border. Maybe potentially let it slip through, but they're not like huge border lovers either. And same with Chalet. And same with Wildcard. Besides the Chalet, Wildcard Drew seem to really like the Chalet, but they also don't like border, but they do like club. So this is another series where like I don't think G2 would really troll by letting club through here. I think that'd be kind of crazy. But if they did, I would expect Wildcard to win that. Now G2 love Lair. They have banned it a couple times as a bit, but I think everybody knows G2 is really comfortable on Lair. They've beaten like some of the best teams even here at this tournament on Lair. They beat Falcons on Lair. They beat Secret on Lair. Both teams that also like playing Lair, and I would also consider to be good at Lair. But I don't think wildcard like layer, so I don't think they'll let it through. So I could definitely see a skyscraper this series. Both these teams like playing Sky. I also think the potential for like a console here is pretty strong for a G2 wildcard potential. Of course, you know, I'm predicting for G2 wildcard. But if NIP go through, throw this shit all out the window, and it'd be totally different. Um, which we can talk about after this as well. We can talk about the other scenario. So, yeah, I definitely see that. And then I don't really see Border getting through. Um, we could see it like a cafe as well, or a labs. Labs would actually be good for this series. I think both these teams like labs as well. They don't seem to be banning labs a lot. So like we're at labs Sky, and then maybe like a cafe consulate in this series for potential maps. Um, and I think if we get those maps, I could see. I feel like NA is really good at labs. Not that G2 aren't really good, but I could never see wildcard winning a labs. But I don't really see G2 losing Sky. Now they did get smoked by Weibo on Sky, but I feel like that was just kind of an off map for them that day, because I do think G2 Sky is really good, and it is banned against them a lot. So teams respect their Sky a decent amount. Not banned the most, but definitely banned against them a good amount. I definitely think G2 going into this are riding that momentum. Even though they lost a secret, I still think they had really strong performances. Or they lost to what Falcons, I mean. They beat Secret. But still two strong performances, even though they have been dropped to lower bracket. And if they play like they did in those two maps that they beat Secret on, they can genuinely at least make finals and potentially win the whole event. So I'm going to take G2 for this game. But let's talk about the other scenario. NIP win out against Wildcard. So yeah, you have to do the whole name. All right. So everybody knows. I kind of actually want to go back to EWC to see that match. Oh no, that doesn't. Yeah, because I'll just change the date. When was that, in August? All right. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so this wasn't this long ago, but this team's definitely changed since, and so I wouldn't put this past anything. But since we have this here and it's from this year and it's not like a crazy long time ago, I'm gonna use it. So yeah, pretty predictable ban phase here. I think this one's kind of interesting from NIP banning Chalet, because I don't think Chalet is like an insane map for G2. But NIP just don't like Chalet, so I can see why they banned it, because it's their perma. And that would be same with Labs. They banned their two permas, and then G2 take out their two permas. So I mean that makes sense. So if that kind of happens again, then yeah, this is gonna how it's kind of turn out here. So you end up with like these four maps to predict between Cafe, Bank, Sky Layer, or Console and Layer. 5 maps, sorry. And then 3 of those will end up being picked. I can definitely see Bank again here. G2 have just always been riding Bank in many of their series. But I feel like G2 don't take the Bank here. They just haven't been as sharp on Bank, because they played it so much in recent months where they kind of feel figured out on Bank. So it's not looking amazing for them. That's not looking terrible either. Like they still keep it very competitive on Bank, but I'd be concerned if they ran it. So yeah, I would definitely consider a like cons or a Sky in here instead of like a Bangor Cafe, that we could just see this turn out again. And I do think we'll see a layer if this series happens. Just both these teams just really like a layer, from what I've seen. So yeah. So next we have M80 Furia. Let's go back to November. M80. And then Furia. Okay, so M80 Furia. I think this will be a really good matchup. I really want to see this matchup happen. Partially because M80 have already played Secret this tournament, which is a really good best of three, which I wouldn't be complaining to see again, but I just want to see this best of three because I think both these teams have just really fun matchup. So for M80, don't enjoy Bank, whereas Furia very much enjoy Bank. So I definitely don't really see them letting that through. Another map that I could definitely see being played in this series is Lair, because NIP don't ban, they do not ban Lair. Or when I say NIP, M80 do not ban Lair, and Furia don't really ban it either. They both seem to really like it. So yeah, and then the same, looking at Cafe here, both these teams really liking Cafe, it seems. And then I don't think they haven't banned it yet, this event, M80, but they should not let a border through, like no matter what, this against Furia or Secret, whoever they play, they should not let a border through. No way. And then I think same with Chalet, like they don't let a Chalet through either against Secret or Furia. So I feel like we're gonna lean more towards potentially like a Labs or a Consulate, and then a Cafe or a Lair, something like that. Maybe a Skyscraper. Maybe. I know M80 loves Sky, but I think Fury could also just ban it because I think most people know that M80 should have a really strong Skyscraper, and I don't think they have been allowed to play at this event. I think it's been perpetually banned against them. Yeah, it's just get banned against them. But they did have the opportunity to pick it in their series against FaZe, but they didn't. So that's a possibility. We could see a Scry this time instead of like a Lair, because M80 have been playing a lot of Lair, and shown a lot on it. So it could be risky for them. And then for Furia, again, it's like they have their mouse that they really like, which border Lair specifically, which, as I was talking about, the only one I really see potentially going through would be the Lair, or the Cafe even too. No way the border though. So I think those are both strong maps for Furia still, and if they keep up their form that they showed in their best of threes, I definitely think they have a good opportunity here to capitalize on a potentially demoralized M80 team after they lost versus FaZe. But I think this is just a genuinely really hard one to predict. And I think I'm just going to go with the Furia here, because I feel like I just trust them a little more to make deep runs into tournaments. So, yeah. However, if Secret win this game, I think I would flip my pick. If you think Secret will win against Furia, then I think personally I would go with M80 because they've already beat them this tournament, for one, and I feel like it's just a really good matchup for M80 because M80's pacing and how they play is very good against Secret's just go 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 a lot of the time, whereas Emmy are really good at like controlling themselves, not overreacting to things, which I also think is an advantage against them in against Furia as well. But I just feel like Furia aren't done yet though. There's something about their team. They kind of just have that magic where it feels just wrong for them not to be like a top 3 team consistently. Though genuinely, I'll probably be rooting for Amady tomorrow and whoever they play. But I just feel like if they play Furia will win, and I'll be sad. Um, and I really want to be wrong, but that's what I'm gonna go with. So yeah, again, make sure you save your predictions, and then yeah, kick off for playoffs and main stages. Yeah, in a little over 6 hours from now. So yeah, I'm kind of making this a little late because after yesterday's playoffs games, I was so out of it. I was just tired. I was like watching those games. I had to do homework after. I was like, I'm just gonna make a video tomorrow. Um, but yeah, after the games are done tomorrow, hopefully it's not as long as a day as it was on Wednesday, but I bet it will be even longer. And I kind of want it to be longer because I love good long games in Siege. It's boring when it's a 2-0 sweep. Um, unless it's your favorite team doing all the 2-0 sweeping, then it's not boring. Then it's like yeah. So yeah, but yeah, I'll try my best to be back tomorrow with a video as soon as the games are over because like the predictions will be open probably like 30 minutes after matches are over, and then you have like less than a day to predict the matches pretty much because they play another 3 on Saturday. So yeah, if you watch to the end here, thank you and have a good one, and then I'll be back tomorrow.